CR questions are the trickiest in verbal section, right? Be it reading comprehension, any topic, we can learn those questions faster. We can comprehend a passage faster only if our reading is strong. And CR makes it possible, yes, because for critical reasoning, your thinking ability, your reasoning, your logic has to be on point. So if we start our verbal preparation with critical reasoning first and then the other topics, comprehending, understanding, and getting correct answers in all the other verbal topics gets much more easier, students. So today we are going to solve some most difficult critical reasoning questions, which in my experience in most of my classes, 99% students could not answer. This particular session will be beneficial to you in two ways. First, it will give you some brain stimulation, brain exercise for sure, because the questions are quite interesting. Secondly, you can actually take maximum benefit out of this class, out of this session, only if you're not simply watching the video, but also solving the question beforehand. That means I'll be giving you some time to read through the question and solve on your own. Try to answer the question and then see if our answer matches. If it is different, then what is the explanation. Most of these questions will require second order thinking, means whatever comes to your mind in the first go, the first order thinking will never be correct. You have to think beyond what comes to your mind, what you're reading, at least like at the second step, at least second step I would say. Then what comes obviously obvious while reading the paragraph or reading the argument is what will give you the correct answer, students. So see, of course there are many kind of critical reasoning questions like inference, strengthen, weaken, evaluate, parallel reasoning, etc, etc. But these are three common steps to solve any critical reasoning question. That is, first, read the question stem carefully. See, generally if you see a critical reasoning question, it looks something like this. There will be a paragraph which is known as argument, followed by a question stem. They will ask you which of the following will strengthen the argument, will weaken the argument, etc, etc, and followed by options. So before reading anything else, you have to read this question stem first, then the argument. So read the question stem and pick the goal. What is it I have to do? I have to support something? Do I have to oppose or weaken something? What is it that I have to do? Read the argument carefully, pick up the conclusion, that is generally the last line, or maybe reason, right? What exactly, because if you have to support, you have to support the conclusion or the reason, whichever is given. So last line is crucial for 99% of the critical reasoning questions. After that, okay, I have to weaken this particular line mentioned in the end. That means what will be the opposite of this? That will be my correct answer. So make a prediction already in your head. It will help you do process of elimination faster. If you do not get the correct answer, at least you know what for sure is not the correct answer. And once you read the paragraph, once you've read the question stem, choosing between two options is easier, and whichever is more direct to what you thought, what you predicted, than choosing between four options, because sometimes it can get confusing just because you're reading a lot of information, right? Okay, so very interesting questions. Question number one in front of you. I'll give you a minute to read. Maybe you can pause and solve this particular question, and then listen to the explanation. That will be much better than simply reading the question with me. So please try to get an answer for yourself. Take your time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, pause the video and then solve it. One thing you need to remember, students, whenever you're reading an argument, do not just depend on your memory. Keep writing something on a scratch paper, right? I'll tell you how generally I write on my paper. For example, with 17 casinos, Moneyland is one particular casino. Okay. With 17 casinos, Moneyland operates the most casinos in a certain state. Okay. Although intent on expanding, it was outmaneuvered by Apex Casinos in negotiations to acquire the El Dorado chain. See, there are three players in the market right now. First is Moneyland, which has 17 casinos, which is the maximum number of casinos so far. But what happened? It wanted to buy more casinos. It wanted to expand. But what happened? So their second player is Apex Casino, and third is El Dorado. Right? So Apex Casino might have a less, let's say 16. But then Apex has acquired El Dorado chain. So now Apex has more casinos than, now after acquiring, it has more casinos than Moneyland. How many? To complete its acquisition of El Dorado, Apex must sell 5 casinos to comply with a state law forbidding any owner to operate more than one casino per county. So there's a law that you can have any number of casinos, but you can't have two casinos in same area, only one casino. That means in an area one casino of can be of Moneyland, another of Apex, but there can't be two casino of Apex and one of Moneyland, only one of each brand. Maybe 5 casinos from 5 different brands, but not two from the same brand or same company, right? That, so done because that, so wherever the overlap is happening, wherever in the same area or county they have Apex Casino, Eldorado, also they need to sell those casinos. So though how many casinos are those common casinos in the same area? So it will, we are saying they'll have to sell approximately 5 casinos. 5 casinos. We are saying since Apex still be left operating, so it will still have 20 casinos after this acquisition. Still have 20 casinos. We are predicting it will then have the most casinos in the state. And we need to undermine this prediction, as in weaken or oppose this prediction that no, Apex will not have most number. They say Apex will have most casinos. We'll say no, it will not have most casinos. So if I have to prove that Apex will not have most casinos, it's like if you are saying I have most number of houses in the world. I have 20 houses in the world. If I have to prove you do not have most number of houses in the world, I'll have to tell you someone who has at least 21 houses more than you. Then only your point will can be proven wrong. So you are in options, you have to find someone, something where you can show that someone has or someone can have more than 20 casinos. See, right now Apex still has 20 casinos after selling 5. It has to sell 5, but it will still have, so someone needs to have more than. So what can be the option? I'll give you a minute to go through the options. Tell me the answer. Option 1, Apex, Eldorado, Moneyland are the only organizations licensed to operate casinos. In this particular state area, the only 3 players, there's no fourth player. So Apex, see, Apex has already acquired Eldorado and it has to sell 5. Eldorado has been acquired, it's not a player anymore, so goes away. Right? Moneyland has 17. There's no fourth player. So if Moneyland can buy these 5 casinos, right, can buy these 5 casinos, it will have 22 casinos then. And then we can prove that Moneyland will have most casinos and not Apex. Isn't it? That's how we can weaken this prediction maybe. So we'll just keep this option for a while and then see other option if we can get much more direct or better option. The majority of Eldorado's casinos in the state. So these El Dorado Casino will need renovation, will not need renovation, is out of context for profit, right? They are old, they are brand new, is out of context. Who will have maximum number of casinos is the question. Some of the state counties do not permit casinos. Means some counties do not, that's okay. Some do not allow, no casino will be operating there. But in whichever counties it's there, right? Let's say out of 10 counties, if 8 counties are allowing, then who has more casinos than Apex is what we have to prove. So irrelevant again. Moneyland already operates casinos in the majority of the state's counties. That is, uh, see, Moneyland already operates casinos. If Moneyland already operates, then it won't be able to buy. So then, in that case, we are supporting that yes, only Apex will have most number of casinos. So you're not weakening the point. So if Moneyland already has most number of casinos, right, then nobody will be able to buy these 5. So we can't prove anything. So D is not helping us to find what we are looking for. Apex will use funds it obtains from the sale. So Apex will use money from the sales of 5 casinos to fund its acquisition of. So then it will acquire properly, legally, all this. Whatever it does afterwards with the money, it doesn't matter. Who has most number of casinos? That's the question. Who has most number of money? What they're doing with the money? Who is profitable? Who is in loss is not the topic. Who has most number of casinos is the question. We have to find someone, a company who has more than apex, right? The number of casinos should be more than apex. That we can prove only with the information given in option A. Of course, option A doesn't directly tell us that Moneyland, but if Moneyland is the only operation, only operational casino, Apex is trying to sell five, Eldorado is being acquired. If so, if it is the only option, only Moneyland can buy. Moneyland already have 17, or if can buy five, then only it is possible to find someone else. Otherwise, with the rest of the option, it's not possible to weaken this argument, isn't it? So, hence, option A is the correct answer. Now, question number two, I'll give you some time to go through it. If I start earlier the explanation, please pause and finish solving first. Okay. In Colorado subalpine meadows, non-native dandelions coexist with larkspur because of these two flowers in this particular area coexist. Bumblebees visit both species, creating the potential for interactions between two species with respect to pollination. Great. In a recent study, researchers selected 16 plots containing both species. All dandelions were seen on. See, these two lines carry important information. All dandelions were removed from 8 plots. The remaining 8 control plots were left undisturbed. See, let's understand this. Let's assume. So they took 16 plots from 50%. 8 plots they removed dandelions and rest 50% will remain undisturbed. So let us maybe make these kind of plots here. Say instead of 16, I'll make 8 plots, right? So in these 8 plots, if dandelions were removed, right? Let's say they were earlier there were larkspur plus dandelion, larkspur plus dandelion, larkspur plus dandelion, larkspur plus dandelion. Here also the same thing. Now the other plot has been left undisturbed, or also known as control plot, control plots. Whereas in the first one, dandelions have been removed, so I will be crossing dandelions like this. Okay. The control plot is so control. This plot yielded significantly more larkspur seeds than the dandelion free plots. Means here, if the seeds or the flowers are say 300 flowers that yielded in next month, here the flowers are only 200. See, here we are remained or we are left only with larkspur. So ideally larkspur seeds or flowers should be much more, but no. Here there are more larkspur than here, right? So what does that mean? Leading the researchers to conclude what they are concluding, that it's maybe, so this is just the reason they are concluding, it maybe may not be true, that maybe it's because of pollination, that dandelions facilitate pollination in the native species by attracting more pollinators. Basically pollination is the reason. They are saying that here we have more, there we have less, and the reason being pollination. If you have to undermine this reasoning, if they are saying pollination is the reason for that increased or decreased number of seeds, you have to prove no, X is not the reason of Y. There's something else. Find new reason that why there's difference in more or less seeds in two different plots. Are you getting this? Pollination is not the reason. If you have to weaken, you have to find a new reason. So, what can be the correct answer? Yes, so we'll move to correct answer first. E is the correct answer. See, they are saying pollination is the reason that okay, here are both the species, pollination must be happening better than the where the dandelion is not there because you need two species for pollination. That's why seeds are more. We are saying no, pollination is not the reason. In these plots, since we uprooted the dandelions, soil must have been disturbed. Soil disturbance resulted in fewer flowers, fewer blooms, and that's why even the seeds are less. That could also be a reason why the seeds are lesser here, and here the soil is not disturbed, and that's why the seeds are more, flowers are more, isn't it? So, right, that could be a great reason, and we are saying pollination is not the reason, soil disturbance is the reason. We are finding a new reason for the difference in number of seeds in both the plots. D. Seed germination is a more reliable measure of a species fitness than seed production, right? So, okay, whatever, however, this whichever flower is fit or not fit is not the question. Why there are more number of seeds here and less here? That's the only that right. That's the question. If left unchecked, non-native species like dandelions quickly crowd out native species, right? They may dandelions are crowding out, but the question is why larkspur is more in one of the plots and not the other half. Right? Dandelions in more or less is not the question. So out of scope. In mixed plots, like in the mixed plot means these ones, pollinators can transfer pollen from one species to another to augment. But see, of course, one but there's not another species. Dandelions have been uprooted. So again, this stands irrelevant and to increase. Right? See, increase means mixed as in this one. But then question is not about that. If it is increased, that's great. But is it because of pollination? It's in a way supports rather than weakens. It says ki because pollination happens in mixed plots, that's why seeds are more. It increases the seeds. Bumblebee preferentially visit dandelions over larkspur. Okay, if they visit dandelions, that's why they visited preferred this particular plot more, the second plot, and that's why again pollination we are supporting rather than undermining or weakening. So A and B are saying the same thing. No, E is the correct answer. It gives you a new reason than the given reason for the difference between a number of seats in the two different plots. Correct? Okay. Question number three, my friends. Always read the question properly. What is it you have to do? You have to support the psychologist's interpretation of the study. Right? What the psychologist is saying. That means you have to read everything. But what psychologist is saying or theorizing is written in the last few lines, not in the first line. Right? Like that. So we have to have that intuitive thinking according while reading the question that which part or which line to focus more on or less on depending on the question. 2 minutes for you to read. Please pause the video and then resume to listen to the explanation as well as answer. So we have been given a situation. Studies in restaurants show that tips left by customers who pay their bill in cash tend to be larger when the bill is presented on a tray that bears a credit card logo. See, in order to understand any situation, I feel it's better to imagine as a real life situation. It gives you a very clear idea, and then you're able to answer the question really well, students. Especially in critical reasoning, I feel that is the best strategy. So imagine you are in restaurant, you have a wallet. Generally, what all things we keep in wallet? We keep some cash, card, credit card, debit card, etc. Right now, what happened? You're ready to pay your bill, and then your bill is, for example, something, right? For example, $100 or 100 rupees, something like that, plus you gave $10 tip, for example. So the tips left by customers who pay, and you paid by cash, not by card, for example, who pay their bill in cash tend to be larger. Your tip is larger when the bill bill present on tray bears a credit card logo. So when you see the logo, your tip is larger. Right? That's the correlation. When you see a credit card logo, credit card something, you pay better tip. Why? So consumer psychologists hypothesize that simply seeing a credit card logo, so when you see the credit card logo, it reminds you, right? It reminds many, so maybe you paid the bill in cash, but you have a credit card. So it reminds you something about your credit card, that what? That you can maybe spend more than the cash immediately available. Means your credit card might have a lot of amount, but you have less cash, but still you know, okay, I have money in my card, so I can pay a bigger tip, right? So it reminds you that you can spend more, right? Because your spending power is much more than whatever cash you have right now in your wallet. You can pay the money, right? Like that. That means, so you have to support this interpretation that simply seeing the credit card, simply seeing the credit card logo reminds you reminds you of your purchasing power, that how much you can purchase or spend the money no matter how much cash you have, right? That's the correlation or theory. Now which option supports that? Also please focus on these words. Credit reminds who? Credit card holders. Means you might be paying in cash, but you are a credit card holder. That's why looking at a credit card logo reminds you how much money you have in your credit card. May not be as cash. Yep. Okay. The effect noted in the studies is not limited to patrons. It is limited to only credit card people who have credit cards. Clearly mentioned. So no, wrong. Patrons who are under financial pressure from their credit card obligation, as in, if I have to still pay, I'm yet to pay my credit card dues, right? I have already maxed it out by swiping a lot last month, and now I go to a restaurant. Credit card logo will remind me, oh God, I have a lot of bills to pay through my credit card. I can't pay a bigger tip right now, right? So it will remind me of my purchasing power in negative way. When I have the money in my credit card, it reminds me in a positive way, that I can pay more. So people who are going through financial pressure because of credit card obligations, they tip less when they see a credit card logo compared to when the tray has no logo. That means after maxing out my credit card, if I go to a restaurant, I pay the bill, I can still pay a good tip because I have the habit. But as soon as I see the logo, it will remind me of my purchasing power. Then I'll not pay the good tip, right? I'll pay a minimal tip. So that means credit card logo definitely reminds people of their purchasing power, whatever it is. See here, if you remember, it looks like opposite of the given question, isn't it, this detail? But it only supports the theory that reminds people of their spending power. It can be anything. In this particular situation, it is people are paying more. So the conclusion is they have their purchasing power is more. If they are tipping less, the logo is reminding people that right now they can't pay because a credit card has been maxed out. Are you getting this? So this is the option which supports the theory or interpretation of the psychologist, not the situation here, but the interpretation. That's all we are asked to support. In virtually all of the cases in the studies, the patrons who paid bill did not see, they have to have credit card. Maybe not at that time, but they have to be credit card holders. Third line. So opposite of the given information, we are not looking for opposite. We have to just support the interpretation of psychologist. In general, restaurant patrons who pay their bills in cash leave larger tips than do those who pay by credit card. Means people, restaurant customers, patrons who pay their bills in cash. Only people with cash pay bigger tips than people who pay by card. People who pay by card are not even mentioned. It doesn't matter that people are paying by cash will leave larger tips. No. Only if the credit card has money in bank, right, then they will pay larger tip. If the credit card do not have money, they will not pay tip, whether by cash, card, or however, right. So that's the comparison. So this will be known as incorrect comparison. The percentage of restaurant bills paid with a given brand of credit card increases when that credit card's logo is displayed on a tray, with which the bill is prepared. See, how much bill they are paying is not the question. Whatever the bill will be, they'll pay only that much bill. Above that, the tip can be larger or lesser. That's the question. That bills paid will be same, isn't it? There's no impact on bills because of credit card logo. There's impact on tips because of credit card logo. So again, wrong. We are giving attention to wrong factor. The focus should be tips here and not the bills. So no. Yeah, so correct answer will be option B. Option B. Next question, everyone. Question number fourth. We have to evaluate, right, the truthfulness of scientists' proposed theory. Okay, so let us solve this question. After thousands of miles of use, the tread on many bike tires wears down. Okay. One common theory about why tires wear down contains that perpetual friction. So why there's a wear and tear? Because of perpetual friction and heat generated by the contact between the tire and the pavement erode the material on the surface of the tire. However, a local scientist who is also an avid cyclist proposed a new theory that it's not, the scientist is saying it's not because of these reasons why the tires wear down. The scientists contend that chemicals from the road's composition and chemicals from the rain residue wore down. So it's not the friction, but it's the chemicals. So how do we figure out if it's the chemicals or it's the friction and heat? What is the right reason? So you have to evaluate that, right? You have to evaluate that. So which option will help you in finding the correct answer? That we have to figure out whether it's chemicals or it's friction and heat. Friction and heat. Which of the following reason? Scientists are saying if this is the reason. So we have to evaluate whether this is the reason or not. So first of all, A doesn't look like that ride a bike aggressively. So what? Either you will know friction is the reason or not. And if you ride aggressively, one day it has to tear and wear down, right? So that does not prove anything. But yes, place chemicals of rainwater and pavement on bike's idle tires when it is not running. So if still it wears down, right? That means chemicals are the reason. If it doesn't, that means no, chemicals are not the reason. It doesn't have to be idle, it has to run on the pavements because of friction and heat, isn't it? So only when you place chemicals on idle tires, let it be for a month or so and then see the difference, you will know whether it's chemicals or the friction and heat while riding on the road. So this is a great answer. Ascertain whether chemicals from the road's composition also reside with the bike's frame. Maybe it's the same chemicals. Of course, if there are any chemical, any toxins in the road, it will be touched on your bike. But are they uh, affecting it in terms of wear and tear? Yes or no? That we do not know from this particular answer. Ascertain whether the bike's frame is made up of rust resistant components. Even if it is, still, if it is rust resistant, it's chemicals or friction that wear and tear we are talking about, not anything else. Determine the number of miles that a bike tire can be used on a wet road before wearing down. That means number of miles that a bike tire can be used. That means how much it can travel before it wears down. That means we are already agreeing that friction heat is the reason, but how much friction and heat it takes to wear down. That's what. So we don't have to agree on reason. We just have to evaluate whether chemicals are the reason or not. right? Which we can get only by this kind of experiment or situation given in option B. Question number 5, everyone. Please pause, read the question, try to find an answer for yourself, and then listen to the explanation. Okay. In this first line, a very generic situation is given that hint, generally, technological improvements increase labor productivity. As in, if right now I don't have any machinery and say I have a business of making chairs, so it's handmade chairs. So I and my laborers are, for example, making 10 chairs a day. Right? We have only that much capacity. But once I have machinery and technology, through that we can make 100 chairs a day. So labor productivity will increase. What is labor productivity? Goods or services, whatever I am making per person per hour. Per hour now I can make more products, right? That is productivity. So with technology, productivity definitely increases, correct? In general. Now we are taking a specific example of parlor industries. We get getting specific. Labor productivity here is significantly higher than in Virgia's industry. Okay. So that's why we are clearly concluding that means in parliament industries on the whole be so they must be technologically advanced. They must be having more machinery. See, we need to understand, of course, if I take machinery, my laborers will make more number of chairs. But productivity increases because of other factors also. Machinery can be one reason. My factory is now making 100 chairs a day, maybe because I've hired more laborers. Maybe I've had better managers who can tell them some techniques, shortcuts to make it faster. Right? Machinery is just one of the reason which can increase productivity. There can be hundreds of other factors. So what is the flaw here? Vulnerable to criticism means you have to find flaw in the given statement or situation. Just because machinery improves productivity does not mean everywhere, wherever productivity is increasing, it's because of technology, it's because of machine. It can be other factors. So it takes one possible cause, that is tech, of a condition, right, that is higher productivity, to be the actual cause of that condition without considering any other possible causes, which can be great management, right, great management, more hiring, right, more number of laborers. It can be any multiple factors for good productivity rather than just takes one cause for every situation rather than considering other possible causes. Just because a generic statement is given, we apply it to a particular situation, that is parlor industries. We can't do that, right? So C defines the actual flaw. So in this particular question, if you predict what's wrong, what is the criticism we can do, actually, right, other options will confuse you if you just try to fit them. If you have the prediction, you will automatically come down to C through process of elimination, right, without any confusion. All right. So thank you so much everyone for attending the session. Do not forget to join the Telegram group. The link is in the description below. If you have any question, if you want to connect with me, right? If you are planning to go for CAT or GMAT exam, if you need any kind of help, do let me know in the comments and I'll reach out to you, right? But please do not forget to join the group for sure, because there we share daily reading articles, some vocabulary quizzes, some reading comprehension critical quizzes, which just improves your overall verbal practice. Thank you everyone. Have a nice day.